Welcome home to Grace Avenue and our noon devotional. My name is Laura Eccles-Richter. I'm the executive pastor here at the Frisco campus, and I just wanted to share a story today that comes to us from the Gospel of Mark that we've been reading during the season of Lent. It comes to us from Mark chapter 4, and it says this: Later that day, when evening came, Jesus said to them, "Let's cross over to the other side of the lake." And they left the crowd and took him in the boat just as he was. Other boats followed along. Gale-forced winds arose and waves crashed against the boat so that the boat was swamped. But Jesus was in the rear of the boat, sleeping on a pillow. They woke him up and said, "Teacher, don't you care that we're drowning?" And he got up and gave orders to the wind, and he said to the lake, "Silence, be still." And the wind settled down, and there was a great calm. And Jesus asked them, "Why are you frightened? Don't you have faith yet?" And overcome with awe, they said to each other, "Who then is this? Even the wind and the sea obey him." I don't know about you, but I feel a little like we are in the midst of a storm just like this. There are many boats traveling on the sea with us, and there we are in the boat, and I want to cry out to Jesus, to God, "You really could sleep during all this? Where are you? Stop everything." Part of that is that my boat's beginning to feel a little small. And I don't know about you, but some of you probably feel like you want more people in your boat. You feel isolated. You feel alone. And I understand that. For others of us, there seem to be too many people in the boat with us right now. They're loud and they move around and they keep rocking the boat, and it's hard. And we look at the other boats that are around, and we either want to trade some of our people out, or we just want to be able to engage with the other people around us. The storm keeps raging, and we're not sure how long it's going to last. And so we cry out to God and we say, "God, do something. Jesus, save us. Make the storm go away." At least that's where I am in the midst of the storm right now. I want it to go away, and I'm not sure how long it's going to last. And I feel like I've lost all rhythm. There's a meme out that talks about changing from your daytime PJs to your nighttime PJs, and that's kind of how it feels. But there's also that sense in which the boat keeps feeling smaller. Some of us are having to work from home, and it feels like there's not enough space to do that and to find the balance with family. Some of us are having to try to school kids at home and a new kind of learning, and that feels overwhelming. And some of us just don't have any sense of that balance, that ebb and the flow of life. I don't know where you are today, but I know that in some ways we are all out in the midst of this storm together. Jesus turns and says to them, "Why don't you have faith?" And I struggle with that today because it seems like anxiety and worry fill me more than that sense of faith and hope. We've talked a lot about breathing around here. In Jen's video about anxiety, Brittany keeps talking about taking those breaths. Laurie's doing yoga for us, talking about breathing in and breathing out, knowing that the very presence of God is in our breath, offering us that sense of presence. And that's really what I think the scripture talks to us about today. It's that balance between having little breath, that prayer of little faith, and that prayer of hope. You see, Henry Nouwen talks about in The Seeds of Hope, this understanding of the difference between prayers of little faith, the question that Jesus asked, and that prayer of real hope. He says that the prayer of little faith is filled with wishes which beg for immediate fulfillment. With this prayer of little faith, it is the concreteness of the wishes which eliminates the possibility for hope. Your spiritual faith is reduced to a beeline toward what you want. That's why Jesus asked that of the disciples, because what the disciples wanted was that beeline. Jesus, just make the storm stop, please. And yet, the prayer of hope. Henry Nouwen talks about when we live with hope, we do not get tangled up with concerns for how our wishes will be fulfilled. Ultimately, it's not a question of having a wish come true, but of expressing an unlimited faith in the giver of all good things. For the prayer of hope, it is essential that there are no guarantees asked, no conditions passed, and no proof demanded. When you pray with hope, you turn yourself toward a God who can be trusted unconditionally. It is enough to know that God is a faithful God. That prayer of hope. And yet right now, I tend to let anxiety and worry and fear, and I want that immediate, Jesus, stop the storm. But what Jesus reminds us in the midst of the story in Mark is that he's in the boat with us. He's chosen to be in the boat with us. God is with us in the midst of the boat, in the midst of the uncertainty, in the midst of the storm. God is with us in the boat. And so that's where maybe I'll find my balance and my rhythm, my sense of faith, my hope. Breathing in and breathing out, acknowledging the fear, acknowledging the anxiety, acknowledging the stress and the uncertainty, not knowing how long the storm will last, but resting in hope that God is with me in the craziness of the boat, where the dishes seem to pile up and there seems to always be another meal to prepare, where there's not enough devices for all of us to do the work that we need to do, where time seems endless, and yet at the same time, at the end of the day, it feels like I didn't do any of the things I needed to do. God's in the boat with us. And so Henry Nouwen offers a prayer that I think is so helpful. It talks about the ebb and the flow of God's presence. And so we'll close with that today. Dear Lord, today I thought of the words of Vincent van Gogh. It is true that there is an ebb and flow, but the sea remains the sea. You are the sea. Although I experience many ups and downs in my emotions and often feel great shifts and changes in my inner life, you remain the same. Your sameness is not the sameness of a rock, but the sameness of a faithful lover. Out of your love I came to life. By your love I am sustained, and to your love I am always called back. There are days of sadness and days of joy. There are feelings of guilt and feelings of gratitude. There are moments of failure and moments of success. But all of them are embraced by your unwavering love. My only real temptation is to doubt in your love, to think of myself as beyond the reach of your love, to remove myself from the healing radiance of your love. To do these things is to move into the darkness of despair. O Lord, sea of love and goodness, let me not fear too much the storms and winds of my daily life. And let me know that there is an ebb and a flow, but that the sea remains the sea. And you, O God, have chosen to be in the boat with us. Amen.